He's getting older.
Champagne room.
Oh, hit the full button.
But not
Cut that
wiser.
bitch out. Next caller.
This is The Lefty Show.
Welcome, everybody, to The Lefty Show, episode number 62. I am your host, Lefty. Glad to be here with all of you today. Hope to put on a good show. Welcome one, welcome all. Number 62 today, the 23rd of July, in the year of our spaghetti monster, 2014. I thank you all for joining me. I hope you enjoy listening to the show. Thank you to everybody that's been watching, liking, favoriting, and subscribing on YouTube. YouTube.com/LeftyOX is where you can find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody that has been and will share the show, help the show grow with friends, family, and coworkers. Easier to do now. Take the show with you on your mobile device. Head on over to leftyshow.podbean.com. You can subscribe manually to the RSS feed there, or go to your favorite Android podcasting app of choice. Search The Lefty Show. You'll be able to find us there and subscribe. Or you can go to the iTunes store if you want. Head on over to the iTunes store. There's a link in the YouTube description. You can find the show there. Be sure to subscribe and leave a rating on the feed. If you please, help the show climb the YouTube ranks. And I thank you, or the iTunes ranks. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. imraising.com/643 Productions is where you can go to do that. We're probably still going to have to be at least comment free for a while. It's the craziest thing, right? Because after my departure from PKA, which was somewhat amicable, not as bad as it could be. It could have been a lot worse. Suffice it to say that. It could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot more nasty and hateful. And I don't know if this is true everywhere. I'm assuming you see this phenomena on Reddit, on Twitter, but this notion that if somebody has a problem with something, right? If I have a problem with somebody else, or somebody else with a social media following, whether it be YouTube, Twitter, whatever, has a problem with me, there are people who take it upon themselves to go and say mean, hurtful, spiteful things to the other person whenever. You know, there's a lot of dislikes for no reason that I see on a Destiny beta Let's Play that I'm posting. And I'm curious because I want to know what the intended goal is there. What do people think? You know, they believe what some people, lies told by other people out of hand, and they come to dislike my videos, and I just want to stop and ask them. I say, what do you think you're going to do? Because they are saying, hey man, I don't like you. I don't like what you're doing. And I say, well, okay, but what do you think coming here to call me a fucking faggot or an asshole, or I'm glad you don't, whatever, the most hateful things that people can think of, what do you think that's going to do? What do you think it's going to do? It's not going to do anything. It's not going to accomplish anything. If it's on Twitter, I'm just going to block you. If it's on comment section on YouTube, I'm just going to remove it and block you. That's it. When you come to me and just like, you're a fucking faggot, I say, oh, no, and it's very clear what you've come here to do. You tip your hand immediately when you start saying awful things to people, and it just makes it really easy. It makes it really, really, really easy to dismiss you. I'm glad you're a PK. You're a boring shithead piece of shit. Okay, whatever, man. Doesn't affect me in the least. But people still think that it means something. That something is going to be accomplished. And it's not. I'm just going to go on about my day. There's really nothing that you calling me an asshole, a faggot, fat, loser, whatever. Nothing you can say is really is really going to do anything. It's not going to accomplish anything. I'm not going to stop posting videos. I'm not going to stop doing my podcast just because whatever, you think it sucks. Just because you think my videos suck. Just because you think I suck. I do suck at some things. Many things. But to just blithely come around and spew hate and filth, it's not that it's upsetting, it's just what I guess to say it's not upsetting that people do it. It's not upsetting the words, the things are not upsetting at all because it's very easy to just click off. But I guess what's intriguing is, what do you want to accomplish here? What do you want to accomplish? And if the response is, well, to get you to talk about it, ha ha ha, I win. Well, you're just going to shift the goalposts any which way you want to make yourself win. I'm talking about it calmly and rationally, and you feel like you've won something, which, okay, I guess. If your life is such that you need to hang your hat on getting somebody to talk about on a podcast, on an hour-long one-man podcast about crazy shit you've said, and that's the high point of your day, of your week. Wow. Okay. Cool. I get it a lot from people. You're a pseudo-intellectual. That's the one thing that a lot of people say. Pseudo-intellectual. I should put that on a shirt. Just hashtag pseudo-intellectual or something. Sell them in a spreadshirt store, $15, $20 a pop. Pseudo-intellectual. And I say, so? What does that even mean? Everybody who has ever disagreed with somebody, intellectually speaking, has called that other person a pseudo-intellectual. But it means nothing. You're a pseudo-intellectual. Yeah. Okay, I will stipulate. I'm going to go down the road of I will stipulate. You're a loser. I'll say something and they'll go, you're just a fucking loser. Yeah. Okay. What now? What now? What else you got? You're a loser. Yes. What? What does that have to say about what I've said or done? You're a pseudo-intellectual. Okay, fine. So stipulated. What does that mean? How does that in any way detract from what I just said? I was talking about one thing. You decided to attack me personally. And I just said, yes. Okay, yes, sure, yeah, okay. What does that mean about what I just said? Doesn't mean anything. And people act like they've accomplished something. Rah, 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 rah. It did. And sometimes I look around and think, what the fuck? And it's gotten to the point where sometimes I question reality. Sometimes I question my perception of reality. Where it's like, people can't be this dumb, can they? That they actually think that calling me a faggot or a cunt, a lot of people from across the pond are very fond of that word, or anything of the sort. You're a pseudo-intellectual. Okay. What is... So, I was talking about this, and you came at me with that. Okay. And out of hand, somebody will just say, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And I say, that's probably true. But until you show me exactly how I'm wrong about this, exactly, objectively, you've got nothing. You just say, you're wrong. You do your research. What? What the fuck? How about if I'm so wrong about something, if I'm so stupid, if I'm so pseudo-intellectual when I make a point or I talk about anything, or I pontificate or proselytize, it should be, if I'm that bad, it should be really easy, shouldn't it? It should be really easy. Not that I'm just wrong, I'm really wrong. And I'm really dumb and really stupid. Then it should be really easy, shouldn't it? But so far, there's been nothing like that. It's just been, you're stupid and wrong and pseudo-intellectual, blah, blah, blah. And I say, oh, okay, show me. Well, I don't have the time, blah, 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 blah. I gotta go, hamina, hamina, hamina. Oh, all right then. At that point, well, then you've proven nothing. You've got nothing, proven nothing, shown nothing. You're just being a jagbag. Which, okay, you can be a jagoff all you want. I'm just not going to listen to you be a jagoff. Whatever. And people follow, apparently now there's going to be people following me around for the next couple of weeks, saying hateful, if I give them the chance, saying hateful things, disliking my videos as if that means anything. As if what the fuck? And so some people may use this to say, you may be thinking, well, hey, why don't you just then open up the floodgates then if it doesn't bother you? No, because I prefer to play this game. I know it pisses them off. I know it pisses those people off that they can't spew hate. If I turn the comments off on a video or I just block them on Twitter and blah, 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 I know it really pisses them off because it's like an orgasm. They want to come and just have their hateful orgasm, right? If you could ever have a hateful orgasm, I guess as a result of a hate fuck, you might have a hateful orgasm. That's an interesting question. I would need to ask. I've never engaged in a hate fuck. Never. I mean, people have spoken the term, but I'm of the mind. I'm the kind of person where I'm like, you hate you hate them, right? Yeah, or you're mad and you're taking it out during sex, right? Right, but doesn't sex feel good? Well, yeah. So, what exactly about it is hateful? And if you actually do hate the person, why are you fucking them? So I gotta ask, if you, in midst of a hate fuck, do you have a hateful orgasm? Orgasms, I've never had a bad one. Personally, never had a bad one. Never had a bad one, and I don't think anybody's ever had a bad orgasm. There can be no such thing. An orgasm is one of those things that you will never in your life have a bad one. There is no way. It's like breathing. You can never have a bad breath because you're fucking breathing. An orgasm is something that you can never fuck up. You can't fuck up an orgasm. You just can't do it. Even if you have an orgasm standing in front of, if you're in school giving a speech, and you just orgasm in your pants, it feels pretty good. It's embarrassing afterwards, but in that split moment where you're having an orgasm, you go, it feels good. Oh, shit. Oh, damn it. Oh, no. And everybody knows now, and that's just fucking, oh, dear. Oh, sweet Jesus. So people want to come and they want to have their hateful orgasm. Orgasm of hate. And I deny it. And it pisses them off because, I want to be able to do this and say these things to you. And no, you're not going to be able to. Now, that might piss you off, and okay, good. That's my way of fucking with you. Your way of fucking with me is very lowbrow, low-hanging fruit. Anybody can walk around calling people faggots and assholes and whatever on the internet. Anybody can do that. But when I know that me just blocking you out of hand or removing your ability to spew hate pisses you off, I would say that's a bit higher brow trolling. And in that sense, I win. I win even before you try to start playing the game. So, right, if it in a vacuum, if it didn't bother me, it would be open the floodgates time. But I choose to play back with the people that want to come spew hate. And so, no, I'm going to remove your voice. And that's going to anger you. And I'm going to win as a result. Now, speaking of people with a voice that angers many other people, I meant to get to this. Tony Dungy, coach emeritus in the NFL in America, was, I believe, the first black head coach to win a Super Bowl in the NFL. And he did it with the Indianapolis Colts. 2006, I believe. And the Bears, and they played the Bears, and just Bears got stomped. Rex Grossman, bastard. Little midget with his short hands. He was a fucking midget. Midget. He had tiny little hands for an NFL quarterback. He had a rocket for an arm, but when you've got tiny hands and you're a midget, the rocket for an arm doesn't really do well. You would either get really, really, really good Rex Grossman, or you'd get, oh my fucking God, how is this guy in the NFL, Rex Grossman? Those are the only two Rex Grossman that could ever exist. He's like a fucking quantum particle. He's binary. He's either there or he's not. I don't know if that would be a quantum particle, because quantum particles are, there's all those crazy things that I don't understand. So anyway, he's like a light switch. He's on or off. There's no in between. There's no just like, he's pretty good. No, it's either 106 quarterback rating or 2, 3. And it was bad. So Tony Dungy, after doing that, wrote a couple of books. Despite wrote a couple of books on parenting of all things, despite his sons having a few issues of their own, let's say. and has become sort of, like I said, coach emeritus in certainly the NFL, and if not the National Lexicon. When Tony Dungy speaks, he's sort of like the old wise grandfather of a leader of men or a leader of family, and a lot of people listen. But the thing is, Tony Dungy is a right-wing conservative, very Christian, very right-wing conservative, and has more than a few times. This was, of course, the same Tony Dungy who defended Michael Vick and acted as Michael Vick's like mentor after Michael Vick did his time and was released from house arrest for his federal dogfighting charges, and was petitioning the NFL and carting Michael Vick around to try to get Michael Vick back into the NFL. He said, Michael Vick should be in the NFL, and there's no reason that he shouldn't be, and everybody should be interviewing Michael Vick because the man did his time, and blah, 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 blah. And okay, that's Tony Dungy. But right-wing conservative Tony Dungy has publicly given money to campaigns that want to redefine, I believe it was in Indiana, a political campaign that wished to redefine marriage explicitly between a man and a woman, obviously very anti-gay. They wrap it up in, we just want to define marriage. Right, you want to define marriage in a way that's discriminatory towards homosexuals. I mean, you're looking at one side of it, conveniently forgetting the other. No, man, we just want to define marriage explicitly. Yeah, you want to and your ethos. You didn't finish your sentence because the second half of that sentence is we want to define marriage explicitly as between a man and a woman only, and that's discriminatory against homosexuals. It's not necessary, especially because it doesn't fucking affect you, you weirdo. But Tony Dungy loves these people. And a couple of years ago, when there was a talk of openly gay players in the NFL, Tony Dungy was asked what he would do as a coach if a player came to him and outed himself as a homosexual. And Tony Dungy's first response was, well, I'd tell him what the Bible has to say about that. Tony Dungy admitted publicly. Right now, this is Tony Dungy, who would speak on black rights, was Michael Vick's ambassador to the NFL, was his liaison with the NFL. Get Michael Vick, killer of dogs, gangster, back into the NFL because, oh my God, the plight of this man, the plight of African Americans can't happen. Is the ambassador for black rights and the Rooney Rule in the NFL and all these things. And Tony Dungy has been wrapping himself in that warm feeling of helping people. Now here's Tony Dungy, who publicly said years ago, and he does Sunday Night Footballs for NBC, said years ago, first thing up, I would preach the Bible to a homosexual player. Now he backtracked and said, well, I wouldn't really care. But the first thing he said was, I'd tell him what the Bible has to say about that. Tony fucking Dungy said that if a player came to him in confidence and said, coach, I'm gay, I like dick, Tony Dungy would not, his first step would be to not say, I will protect you, a la Vince Lombardi. What Vince Lombardi did in the 60s was not to do that. It was to say, you know what the Bible would say about that? That's Tony Dungy. And Tony Dungy said that publicly, in public, in an interview. And everybody just, yeah, that's Tony Dungy. Yes, this is what Tony Dungy does. And Tony Dungy still has a fucking job talking to people when he has clearly said, if you're a homosexual, I'm going to try to convert you because that's wrong. What the? Now Tony Dungy has said in an interview with regards to Michael Sam, drafted by the St. Louis Rams, openly gay player from Missouri, SEC Defensive Player of the Year, he said he wouldn't take Michael Sam because the distraction would be too much for the team. Now, keep in mind, here's the thing. I got to explain this. We'll unpack this a bit. A distraction is code word for, I don't like this guy. That's NFL code word, distraction. He would cause a distraction. they would cause a distraction. There would be a distraction brought by all these things is code word for, I don't like what this guy does. I don't want it around my team. If you're an NFL coach and you say we're not bringing him in, or we released him or traded him or whatever because he's a distraction, or because what he did was a distraction, that word distraction means, practically speaking, it means we don't like what he did. We don't like what that said. We don't like the meaning behind it. We don't like anything having to do with it, and we don't want it around our team. And keep in mind, this was the same guy when Michael fucking Vick was released from prison after spending 2 years in the NFL. Michael Vick, without 2 years out of the NFL, in prison, was trying to tell everybody, don't worry about the distraction. It won't be a distraction. Just get in there and play football. You should sign Michael Vick and not worry about the media circus that would follow him, the media distraction that would follow him around. Just get in there and play football. That was Tony Dungy then, when Michael Vick, felon, got released from prison. Now Tony Dungy, asshole cocksucker that he is, with respect to Michael Sam, said, I wouldn't draft him because of the distraction that would come with it, which is very clearly, I don't like that he's gay, and the fact that he's the first openly gay player would be a problem. I don't want it around my team. That's what that means. Cut through the bullshit. Don't hide behind semantics and say, oh no, the media would follow him, and he doesn't want the media, because bullshit. Then Tony Dungy was arguing to just completely operate irrespective of the media distraction, of the media circus that surrounded Michael Vick, any team signing Michael Vick. Tony Dungy pleaded with those teams to not care about that. Now all of a sudden it's a problem. And what changes between the two? Michael Vick, black felon. Michael Sam, black homosexual. It's not a race thing. He's a homosexual. And Tony Dungy is a right-wing conservative Christian douchebag asshole. And he's just openly saying in interviews, saying, yes, I would not draft him because he's a distraction. And distraction is clearly meaning because he's homosexual and I don't want that around my team, because people would have an issue with it, something would happen, and blah, blah, blah. I could not control my team. This is a coach saying I would not be able to control my team to the point where we're saying, hey, you bunch of animals, you've all got weird shit that you do. So if you think that this guy is weird for being homosexual, then you better look in the mirror at the weird shit you do in your off time and leave this man alone. Let's get out there and play some fucking football. Tony Dungy said, no, I wouldn't do that because he's gay. Fuck it. And here's my point, because I've said multiple times, and I still believe it, that I will defend somebody's right to not be comfortable with homosexuality. I will defend somebody's right to not be comfortable with people of other ethnicities, races, religions, whatever. You have a right, an unalienable right, to not be comfortable internally with those around you. Because to say anything else, to say you must accept this, you are not constitutional, you are not in any way, morally, legally, whatever, you are not obligated to be accepting of other things that people do, the way they are, the things they believe in, the things they say, the way they speak, the way they look, anything. You are not obligated to be accepting internally of all that. You're not obligated to do it. However, when you speak publicly about it, when you speak publicly about how you really feel about the homos, how you really feel about the white man, or about the black man, or about the yellow man, or the red man, or anything like that, when you publicly speak about it, Donald Sterling, well, actually, he didn't really publicly speak about it. It was a leaked conversation. But if you publicly speak about it, it becomes a lot harder to defend you, because then you're putting it out there. It's out there. And I will defend your right to internally not be comfortable with homosexuality and not accept it, because to say that you must accept is thought policing. That is thought policing. To go around and to ensure and to say, to even believe that everybody should be obligated to accept this, thought policing. Very definition of thought policing. So I won't do that. However, I will look at NBC, who employs Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy makes a lot of money to talk about football Sunday nights on NBC. before Sunday Night Football, and I believe during halftime. I want to know why Tony Dungy still has a job. Tony Dungy, multiple times, twice. First thing he said, I would preach to a gay player, preach to him the Bible, what the Bible says. And for those of you that wish to argue semantics, what do you just think Tony Dungy's brand of Christianity has to say about the Bible? What do you think? Just off the top of your head, what do you think? How do you think his brand, his particular flavor of Christianity or Catholicism, what do you think their view is on the those that like dick, or those with dicks that like dick, or those with vaginas that like vagina, or those with both that like both, I guess. So yeah, we've got it all covered now, I think. Yeah. What do you think? Do they like it or not? What do you just come on, just spitball. You know exactly what it is. So Tony Dungy said publicly once, I believe it was in 2010, I want to say, he said, yeah, I would preach to that gay player about what the Bible says about homosexuality. I would try to convert my homosexual player, not be accepting of it. I would say that's wrong, and the Bible says it's wrong, so we're going to convert you. And now he has also said that he wouldn't draft Michael Sam, openly homosexual, because of the distraction. I don't like what it does. I don't want it around my team. That's what he said. Why does he still have a job? Why does Tony Dungy still have a job? Why does anybody revere Tony Dungy? He's a hateful old man. A hateful old black man who wraps himself up in the black community as the first black head coach to win a Super Bowl. And he uses that as license to say other hateful things about people he does not like, about ways of life that he does not like. And people are accepting of it, including NBC. So I want to know, NBC, why does he still have a job? And I put this to NBC. If Dan Patrick, his partner, the on-air leader of Sunday Night Football pregame and halftime show, if Dan Patrick said the exact same things on his radio show. Dan Patrick is a well-renowned sports radio broadcaster. I love him, love his voice. Awesome voice, Dan Patrick. Oh, my goodness. Just like butter. It's like butter. It's awesome. Oh, yeah. If Dan Patrick had said those exact same things on his radio show, would he still have a job? If Dan Patrick a couple of years ago had said, you know, if I was an NFL head coach and a player came to me in the locker room and said, Coach, you know I'm gay, and Dan Patrick had said, the first thing I would tell him is I would be sure to tell him what the Bible says about that and what God has to say. Preaching to the gay player and telling him that homosexuality is wrong and he better change his ways to avoid the pitfalls of hell, eternal damnation. If Dan Patrick had said that and then now said, yeah, you know, Michael Sam, homo, I wouldn't draft him because I don't want that homo distraction around my team. I don't want it around my team. If he had said both those things on his nationally syndicated radio show, would he still have a job? How long would he have a job at NBC? Tony Dungy does it, though. And people are like, yeah, go Tony Dungy. Yeah, I love him. Because you know that if Tony Dungy were to be fired over this, he would cry racism. You know he's exactly the kind of guy who would cry racism over being fired for being homophobic. And a brief sidebar, if you will, on homophobia, because there's a lot of people, a lot of the, oh, why aren't you tolerant of my intolerance? Those kinds of people that would say that, usually have an issue with the use of homophobia. Because they say, I don't have a phobia of gay people. I'm not afraid of them. Ha ha ha, see? I win, liberals. Ha ha, chuck one up for me. But when I use homophobia, and it's like narcissism in our society. But when I use homophobia, I'll get to that in a second. When I get to homophobia, or when I use homophobia, I don't actually mean that you have some psychological condition where you have a fight or flight response to an overwrought fight or flight response to the mere presence or the mere mention of homosexuality. That's not what I mean. That's not what anybody means. Nobody means that when they say homophobia. Nobody means that, okay? Conservatives, why aren't you tolerant of my intolerance? Praise be to Dale. That nobody means that. What they mean is you're being prejudicial towards homosexuals. It's like racism. but we don't have a word like racism to apply to homosexuality. Sexualism? Homoism? Homoism sounds bad. Like, you got that homoism, don't you? Yeah, it's a bad thing. Sexualism? Sexualism sounds kind of good. I don't think you'd want that. Racism is clear. It's neutral. Racism. You are making decisions based off race. It's not good. It's not bad. It just communicates its meaning effectively. Homoism, well, that's very clearly negative. And like feminism is only one side of the equation, because you can be prejudicial towards heterosexuals, but we would all confuse ourselves if we had homoism and heteroism and panism. Now, sexualism makes sense, but sexualism sounds kind of good. Hey, baby, why don't you and I go upstairs and we try some sexualism? Oh, I like that. Oh, yes, can we do it? Yes, sexualism. It doesn't really communicate meaning. It can be misinterpreted as like something like, yeah, sexualism. That's what, when a man and a woman love each other, a man and another man, or a woman and a woman, or whatever the in-between of that would be, sexualism doesn't work. So we use homophobia because we have no other word for it. We don't actually mean that you have a psychological condition. It's just a way, so don't semanticize along those lines. Don't let anybody else semanticize along those lines. Don't let them pettifog that bullshit. Say, no. You know exactly, everybody knows exactly what everybody else means when they say homophobia, and it's not a medical condition. It's like narcissism. Narcissism in our society, or narcissistic, gets thrown around. And narcissism is a real a psychological condition, and it's not good. It's up there with being a sociopath in terms of severity, in terms of like, oh shit, this may not be good. It's not good. It's bad. There's good, and then there's bad. This is not good. Narcissism is not good. You don't want it. It's bad, but we throw around, oh, you're narcissistic. It's narcissism. The narcissism of our society. And I think that it's like, we're overusing this term because there's a legitimate thing going on here. We need another word for narcissism, so that, or we need another word either for entitlement or self-importance. Because right now in our society, narcissism and narcissistic is used as a placeholder for just mere self-importance, being greedy, being entitled, which aren't, strictly speaking, psychological conditions. They are not on the level of being a sociopath or having MPD or anything like that. But we use narcissism, which is also a psychological condition. So we need either another word for entitlement, self-importance, being greedy. We need another word for that, or we need a new word for the medical condition, the actual medical condition that is narcissism. Because you see it a lot. Anybody gets thrown around, and especially if there's like an internet feud, lots of people like to throw that around. Narcissism, he's a narcissist. And it's like, really? Well, like, imagine if I just started throwing around the term sociopath. Imagine that. Oh, he's a sociopath. People will look at you and go, fucking really? You really, like, is that like a medical diagnosis? Because when you start throwing around the term sociopath, people think of bad people. Bad people are sociopaths. Lots of bad people have been sociopaths. Many sociopaths are bad people. Similarly, many narcissists, actual clinical narcissists, are not good folks. Not good home country folks that you want to bring to dinner. They're bad dudes and bad girls. You don't want anything to do with that. So if I was to just say, oh man, this fucking asshole, he's a sociopath. Holy fuck. That's a big line in the sand there, Frank, don't you think? Yeah, fuck him, though. Fuck him. He's a sociopath over there. Look at him. Just look at what he did. Total sociopath. It's like, Frank, do you know what you mean when you say sociopath? Yeah, he's a fucking asshole. No, Frank. No. There's a lot more to being a sociopath than just being an asshole. There's a lot more to being a narcissist than just being incredibly self-important and thinking everything's about you. That's certainly part of it, but you can be incredibly self-important and think everything's about you without being a narcissist. So we need that. We need a new word for narcissism and homophobia. Somewhere along the line, we need to come up with a new word for being prejudicial against homosexuals or prejudicial against anybody because of their sexual orientation. Orientalism? Nope, never mind. Nope, bad. Oh, that was bad. Oh, you. Somebody put that on a t-shirt. So Tony Dungy, why does he still have a job? How can you, NBC, still, I mean, I'm not trying to say that Tony Dungy cannot believe or think the way he does. Not at all saying that. Tony Dungy is free to be uncomfortable with Michael Sam because he's a homosexual. And that's probably true. Tony Dungy is probably uncomfortable being in and around Michael Sam because he's a homosexual. Because Michael Sam, is a homosexual. Or maybe because Tony Dungy is also homosexual. You see that a lot. People are like, oh, no gays. Gays are bad. Gays are bad. Gays are bad. Always get caught with a hooker. And what gender is the hooker? Oh, dude. Ah, homos. The homos. It's just because I kind of like cock and I believe I have a soundbite for that. Where is it at? Everybody has affinity for cock. There we go. Got to turn that shit up and play one. Everybody has affinity for cock. Everybody has affinity for cock. Maybe Tony Dungy is trying to hang on somebody else. Like, no, it's the gays. The gays are going to turn me gay. Oh my goodness, can't allow it to happen. In our society, we allow it to happen. So the sporting people that enjoy sports in America, allow Tony Dungy to continue to go on and say all and do all these things. What the fuck, dude? No, you can't go around saying these things. And if any other, imagine your job, wherever you work. If you went to, if you work in an office setting and you go to an HR meeting and like there's like let's say it's a yearly thing, you have to go to some 3-hour conference on not being prejudicial against sexual orientation, right? And you're doing a little one of those little group talks, and the leader says, so if you are a project manager and one of your employees comes to you and wants to confide in you that they are a homosexual, what do you do? If you raise your hand and say, not even do, if you say just, yeah, I would tell them that the Bible says it's wrong. I would let them know what the Bible has to say about that. What would the rest of that meeting go like? What would be the general reaction of that person? And what would the rest of your employment at that place go like? Would it be, you think you'd be employed there for a long time? And if you were just irreverent about it, you said, yeah, I would just tell them what the Bible has to say about it, and it's wrong. And you just go, yeah, that's what I do. What's the problem? What's next? We got more questions coming or what? You would not be working at that place for a very long time. And then especially if you said that, and then you said around the water cooler, said, man, I would not bring Jeff onto my project. Thankfully, somebody else took him. I wouldn't do it. There's just that distraction that his homosexuality causes would be too much for me in my project. I wouldn't be able to do it. Could not keep the train on the track, so to speak, because of the distraction of his homosexuality. How long before HR's calling you and telling you to pack your shit and get the fuck out? But Tony Dungy, everybody's just, yay, Tony Dungy, yay, hero to the black community, yay, because he won his Super Bowl as a coach, not on the field. Yay, primarily because of Peyton Manning. Yay, and Marvin Harrison. Yay. So because he's a hero to the black community in this way, and because he had a couple fuck-up children, and now he's preaching against homosexuality openly, oh no, we'll forget all that. Yay, hero to the black man, hero to the common folk. Yay. NBC, you would lose your fucking job. Somehow Tony Dungy still allowed to be blatantly homophobic. And everybody's just like, yeah, that's Tony Dungy. Fuck you, Tony Dungy. You're a fucking asshole. All right, let's this is something I haven't done in a while. We're going to do a little Would You Rather. This is from yourather.com. Go there for all your Would You Rather needs. Do a little would you rather. Would you rather be fat and smell nice all the time or be fit and smell like sweat all the time? Now, I have a question here. I got a question before I can answer. Would you rather be fat and smell nice all the time or be fit and smell like sweat all the time? I want to know what the ball funk situation is. What's the ball funk situation? I can deal with sweaty smell. People can get used to the smell of sweat. Many people work in and with sweat every single day. Many people, whether you're at the gym, whether you work at the gym, or you work an outdoors job, you work labor. If you work labor, you are used to the smell of sweat. There's a huge portion of society that lives in and works with the smell of sweat all the time. So the smell of sweat isn't a big deal. My question is, though, I want to know the ball funk status, because sweat is fine. The smell of sweat is fine. It's acceptable. You can work past it. You can work around it and deal with it. I want to know how bad the ball funk is. How bad would the ball funk be? Specifically, if there's ball funk, if there's constant ball funk, I'd rather be fat and smell nice all the time. Because, again, everybody can deal with sweat. Sweat is fine. Ball funk is a completely other animal. It's a complete other beast. You get that if you haven't showered or you just worked out and it's been a while, you've let it fester because you're trying to cool down before you take a shower. You don't want to keep sweating. And guys, this is primarily a guy problem. I don't know if it's a girl problem, and frankly, I don't want to know. But guys have done this where they kind of move and spread their legs and they just position their nose just so. They lean a little bit forward and they open their knees a bit and it wafts from the balls. And you get a whiff of that funk. You get a whiff of that funkity funk from your balls and you go, oh, shit. Holy shit, what the fuck was that? And you try to recreate it. You're smelling around like a fucking dog. You don't smell it again. But then you hit it again. You hit it just right. You spread your and then you realize, holy shit, that's coming from my nutsack. That's ball funk. And ball funk is awful. It is universally awful. There's no good ball funk. There's no such thing as like, ball funk. You don't do that. You cannot even tolerate ball funk. There's not a lot of bite to the smell. There's not bite to the smell. It's not going to make you gag necessarily. It's just one of those smells where you smell it, you don't gag, there's not bite to it, but you're just like, something is wrong here. Something's definitely wrong. Something is not right, and something needs to be changed. So if I have to be fit and smell like sweat and ball funk all the time, done. Let me be fat and smell nice. Let me be fat and smell nice. However, if I can work it so that I can just be fit and be sweaty without the ball funk, well, I'm good. I think everybody can deal with a little bit of sweat here and there. All right, let's do some news, shall we? We got a lot to talk about in the news today. Kid Rock is involved with a lawsuit in Insane Clown Posse, where an Insane Clown Posse sexual harassment lawsuit. He has to hand over a glass dildo. The ISIS in Iraq has ordered shopkeepers in Mosul to veil their mannequins. New York City police are expressing anger at the public's reaction to chokeholding death. Man charged with killing his girlfriend. He was playing with a gun. It's the news with Lefty. Let's talk about all the things. Kid Rock back in the news in a way that he might not want. File under what the fuck. Attorneys representing former Psychopathic Records publicist Andrea Pellegrini announced Monday that they have subpoenaed Kid Rock to produce a glass dildo as part of Pellegrini's sexual harassment lawsuit against the Insane Clown Posse's record label. Pellegrini claims the glass dildo was given to her by Psychopathic Records employee Dirty Dan Diamond, as part of As part of a larger culture of constant harassment in which she was called a bitch, made the target of explicit sexual advances by Diamond and other co-workers, asked to produce automatic weapons for a photo shoot, and even encouraged to deceive government investigators from the U.S. Department of Labor. Look, I don't mean to perpetuate this ideal that that sometimes people ask for bad things that happen to them. But when you work in a setting where you're calling your boss Dirty Dan, like if you're walking around the office and instead of saying hi to Dan, you say hi to Dirty Dan, if that's in any way part of your like employment package when you get there, part of your training, like, now I'm Dan Diamond, but I don't want you to call me Dan. I want you to call me Dirty Dan Diamond. If your boss's nickname is Dirty Dan, you shouldn't be surprised when you get told to do outlandish things. That's not a surprise. When you go to work and you say, "Hi, I'm Dan," "Hi, I'm your boss, I'm Dan Diamond." And then you realize you hear other people referencing him as Dirty Dan. You might want to, if you don't want to be the object of stupid sexual bullshit or otherwise dirty things, maybe you should get the fuck out of there. Maybe it's a good sign when your boss has the nickname Dirty fucking Dan that you should not be, that is not a place you want to work at if you're going to be offended by things. If you're going to be offended by crazy shit, by outlandish things, don't work for Dirty Dan. Go work for some guy named Bob. Go find a Bob or a Jane. Just a simple, down-home, nice name. When your boss is referred to as Dirty Dan Diamond, you know you're in for some shit. And you should know. You should know full well, yes, there's be some crazy shit happening because I work for a guy whose name is Dirty Dan. Huh. All right. On Friday, Diamond admitted under oath that he told Pellegrini that he had a, quote, a fat cock and that he would fuck the shit out of her. The dildo, though, was a work of art, according to Diamond, and should not be considered sexual harassment. Dude, Dirty Dan, it's all or nothing, bro. You see, here's the deal, okay? In my world, if you're going to go sexual harassment, you go all the way. When you go up to a female employee and say, "Hey, baby, I'm Dirty Dan. I got me a fat cock, and I'm going to fuck the shit out of you with it," that's sexual harassment. You've done it already. If you gave her a dildo on top of it, you have to accept the dildo too. You can't say, "Yes, I'm Dirty Dan Diamond. I did tell her, yes, Your Honor. I did say that I had a fat cock. And yes, I did say that I would fuck the shit out of her. Yes, I did that. But that dildo was a work of art, though. It was a work of art, Your Honor. It was not at all a gigantic phallic penis with which she was meant to fuck herself. No. I will admit to telling her I had a fat cock with which I would fuck the shit out of her. But that glass dildo was just a work of art. That's all it was. You got to go all the way. Otherwise, you're not worthy of your moniker, Dirty Dan. You're more of unclean, unkempt Dan. Just, how about this? Disheveled Dan. You're not Dirty Dan. You're now disheveled Dan. If you can say, "Yes, I told her I had a fat cock and I'd fuck the shit out of her with it. But I didn't." The dildo was not. It should not be classified as sexual harassment because it was really a work of art. It was a beautifully handcrafted glass tumescent cock. It looked, the veins on it, it had studs. It was beautiful. It was a nice expression of the artist's intent of, again, recreating a tumescent penis. You are now disheveled, Dan. Not full dirty, just kind of unkempt and unseemly. Because you're apparently too much of a wuss to go all the way. What's going to happen? Instead of $1 million, it'd be $1.5 million? Is the dildo worth $500,000? How much is a dildo worth? I would say that saying that if you're going up to a female employee and saying, "Hey, baby, I got a fat cock," is much worse than giving her a dildo. The dildo, at least you get some pleasure out of. I mean, you could argue that it's a good thing. You could argue it was a fucking bonus. Hey, here's a dildo. Have fun. That shouldn't be sexual harassment now that I think about it. Because it's just a dildo. Are we going to act like we all don't masturbate now? Like it's like, ooh, we don't talk about it. Is it sexual harassment to give somebody toilet paper now too? Like, here you go. Like, whoa, I don't shit. What are you talking about? Is that bathroom harassment or biological function harassment? Like, I don't do this. I don't know what you're talking about. How dare you presume this? Like, no, you shit. Everybody shits. Similarly, everybody masturbates. Everybody. Everybody pleases themselves somehow. Themselves. Women traditionally use a dildo. So what's wrong? Like, here it is. Have fun. There you go. It's good. I like it. Maybe you gave a recommendation. Like, here you go. Andrea, please come into my office. Yes, close the door. Now, at the end of your work review period, I got to say I'm very happy with what you've been doing. Thank you, Andrea, for your work here at Psychopathic Records under me, Dirty Dan Diamond. So, as a bonus, I've got a nice present for you here. It is the finest of the fine Egyptian sand turned into a tumescent penis with which you can pleasure yourself. Here you go. I highly recommend it. I, Dirty Dan Diamond, highly recommend this glass-studded dildo. Enjoy. Have fun. Why are we pretending? Why would we even think to pretend that we all don't masturbate? If a woman showed up and if a female boss gave her male underling like a bottle of nice, really premium lube as a performance bonus, guy'd be like, "Fuck yeah, woohoo, yeah!" Or maybe a box of Kleenex or something, or pack of socks for cleanup afterwards. Why do we all pretend like... Now, of course, there's a line that's saying, I've got a fat cock and I'm going to fuck the shit out of you. That's different. But just, hey, I masturbate, you masturbate. Here is something that will help you masturbate. Have a good time. Have fun. How could that really be sexual harassment? How are you harassed by that? Like, you don't masturbate? You're really going to try to tell me you don't masturbate? You work at a fucking place called Psychopathic Records under Dirty Dan Diamond. You're going to try to tell me that you don't... No? Okay. The article continues. Why is Kid Rock involved? Diamond says that when Pellegrini declined his dildo, he gave it to Kid Rock instead, presumably as a work of art and not a sexual advance. So now, according to court orders, Rock has 14 days to produce the glass dildo so the court can better determine if it is art or, well, a dildo. We will keep you updated on the whereabouts of Kid Rock's dildo as details become available. If I'm Kid Rock, I'm pissed. Like, fuck you, it's my dildo. Why is this a part of anything? And the other thing here, why is Kid Rock involved? Diamond says when Pellegrini declined his dildo, he gave it to Kid Rock, presumably as a work of art and not a sexual advance. How is... Again, I'm going to fuck the shit out of you with my fat cock is a sexual advance. That is a sexual advance, no doubt about it. But giving somebody a dildo is not a sexual advance. It's like the mechanic handing you a wrench and saying, "Oh my God, you're advancing on me." No, he said, "Go do it yourself, motherfucker." That's what the dildo was saying. The dildo was saying, "Oh, so you will not allow me to fuck the shit out of you with my fat cock. Here is a dildo for your own self-pleasuring abilities. Have fun." It's not a sexual advance. It's here, have fun with the dildo. You won't let me do it, so go do it to yourself. Here you go. Dildos don't have to be involved. I don't know. It seems as though maybe going a little bit far. I am for dildos in the workplace. I will allow dildos in the workplace and other sexual toys in the workplace, except for strap-on. A strap-on that's like an offer. That's an offer to invite yourself into the bedroom. If it's just a dildo, well, you can do that yourself. But a strap-on, that's different. Because there has to be somebody there to help you with that. I am for dildos in the workplace. I want dildos in the workplace. Speaking of workplaces, ISIS, this is from NBC News. Headline, ISIS forces Iraqi shopkeepers to veil mannequins. ISIS has ordered shopkeepers in the Iraqi city of Mosul to cover the faces of mannequins, the Associated Press reported Tuesday. The Sunni extremist group recently declared a caliphate, or Islamic State, covering parts of Syria and Iraq. Shop owners in Mosul said they had been told to cover the face of male and female mannequins, apparently in line with strict interpretations of Sharia law that forbid statues or artwork depicting the human form. Mannequins with their faces covered are displayed in a shop window in Missoula, Iraq, July 21st, 2014. That's the picture. Now, look, I don't mean to make fun of religion. I'm not trying to make fun of religion now. I'm going to let you do it yourself because I just want to know. If we agree that God exists, if we agree that whether it be a Christian God, Allah, who is God, right? If we agree that God exists, an omnipotent being, an omnipotent supernatural power with domain over every facet of our being, over every facet of the universe, why the fuck would this supernatural being care about mannequins having their faces shown in an Adidas store in Iraq? What kind of supernatural being has the time or even the care to say, you know, when you're selling clothes, you can sell clothes to each other, yes. However, to market the clothes, you cannot create human forms that have faces, and those human forms cannot have faces. That's wrong. That's bad. You cannot recreate the human form in the form of a statue or mannequin. That's not cool. I am going to come down upon you for this very, very narrow, specific thing. What kind of God would do that? It seems a little bit of a micromanagement thing, right? In management, in business management, you learn about micromanaging, and it's generally accepted, I think, that you don't want to do that. You don't want to micromanage your talent. You don't want to micromanage every facet of your business because people will get pissed off. They'll say, "Get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? Give me the power, give me the authority commensurate with my responsibility." You can't say it's my responsibility to clean the toilets and then make sure every single time I'm going to clean the toilet that I do it up to your standards. Just let me fucking do it. You can't go in there. You can't be having it over my shoulder. Like, you be sure to get the brush. Yeah, the brush out now. You go under to make sure that you get the underside of that lip on the bowl. You got to get that. A lot of people don't, and that's where a lot of bacteria lives. We don't like that. We don't want it. You got to do that. Essentially, you're going to go, look, Josh, get the fuck out of here. Let me clean. My life is bad enough that I've got to clean fucking toilets. How about you get the fuck off my back and let me clean some toilets? How about you do that? You don't micromanage. Why would God, any God, micromanage the talent that is humans to the point of don't create mannequins with face on their heads? That's bad. I don't know. I want to hear the argument. I want to hear the case from those that believe in God or in this God or whatever God as to why God would micromanage to that level. Doesn't God have other things to do? He or she or it or whatever is an omnipotent being of power and knowledge that we can't possibly understand. And this omnipotent being which transcends space and time seemingly uses all of that knowledge and that power and that energy to make sure that the shaved apes don't create replicas of the human form. They can transcend space and time. They are omnidimensional beings. They are pan-dimensional beings. Or a pan-dimensional being, the superpower, the alpha, the omega, the biggest, the baddest thing on the block, created this place, supposedly. And they better care. You better not put fucking faces on those things. I don't want to, sell your fucking Lacoste polos, but I don't want to see a fucking human face on that, goddammit. Me, damn it. I don't want to see it. Get it out of here, otherwise you will not go to heaven. Because something. I want to hear the case. Where's the case for that? Where is it? Huh? No? Huh? Nobody? Anybody? You? No? Oh, you're just scratching? Okay. Never mind. In another story, a man charged with killing his girlfriend was playing with gun on a trampoline, his mother says. Dateline Mobile. No, Mobile. It's Mobile, I believe, right? The man authorities say recently shot and killed his girlfriend was himself the victim of a freak accident, according to his mother. Raphael Pierre Quinney is charged with manslaughter in the death of 19-year-old Selena Edwards, who died from a single gunshot wound near Michigan Avenue on July 14th. Oh, on my birthday. Jackie Quinney, the defendant's mother, said the two were in a relationship and had been playing with the gun that killed Edwards while on a trampoline with their infant child. I believe this really was a misunderstanding and a bad accident, she said. I know they were playing over the gun, and he didn't know the bullet was still in the chamber. You know, I do that a lot, too. I get out on the old trampoline at 24 years of age, jumping around and say, you know what I need? You know what would perfectly accentuate this time here on the trampoline? A fucking gun. And not just any gun, mind you. I would like a loaded pistol in my hand while I jump on this trampoline with my 19-year-old girlfriend and newborn child. What the fuck do we do? I talked about that omnipotent superpower just a few moments ago. And here's some off-the-wall proof that there is no God. Here's off-the-wall proof. I defy anyone to justify an omnipotent, multidimensional, transcending space and time, infinite energy, infinite knowledge of which we can't even comprehend, how he could create something so fucking stupid that it could be jumping on a trampoline with the newborn child and a loaded fucking handgun. Even a handgun, period. Never mind, oh, I didn't know it was loaded. What the fuck are you doing with a gun on a trampoline and a newborn child, you idiot? What about that made sense in your head? So, you know, I got my newborn child here, and I got my gun and a trampoline. Newborn child, and me. So me plus newborn child plus trampoline plus handgun equals good times. There can be no way that there's no way some omnipotent being is responsible for this. Like George Carlin said, if this is the work of an omnipotent being, I'm not impressed. Not impressed. Not impressed at all by the work. If this transcendent being, this thing that has power over all, constantly and forever, backwards and forwards, and in every single instance and in every single way, not impressed with the work so far. Because you've got a glitch in somewhere in the manufacturing line, because we've got versions of this, versions of us that are jumping around on a trampoline with a newborn child and a handgun, which turned out to be loaded. Don't you check to see if it's loaded? Don't you? If you've got a handgun, now police report it was stolen, so we can guess that, oh, it's a stolen handgun and maybe some gang activity or other criminal activity there. But this guy, you know, not impressed. No, don't you handle the gun and make sure, if you're around your family, if you supposedly love this woman, you had a child, newborn child, before you hop on the trampoline, don't you make sure the gun isn't loaded? Should be easy, right? But no, you don't, because we're idiots. And there's no possible way that we could be the spawn of a supernatural omnipotent being. No way. And if we are, holy fucking shit, am I not impressed at all. All right, let's bring it home, shall we? Woo, another great edition of The Lefty Show. Thank you all for joining me. I had a great time putting on the show for you today. I hope you had a great time listening. Thank you to everybody that's been watching and liking, favoriting, and subscribing to the show on youtube.com/LeftyOX. youtube.com/LeftyOX is where you can go to find the show in its YouTube formation. Thank you to everybody that's been following me on Twitter at Lefty643. You want to send some kind words my way there, you can do it at Lefty643 on Twitter. Thank you to everybody that's been sharing the show and will share the show with friends, family, and coworkers. Head on over to leftyshow.podbean.com or search The Lefty Show on your favorite Android podcasting app of choice. If you really want to help out, there's a link in the YouTube description of the show on iTunes, or go to the iTunes store, search The Lefty Show. Be sure to subscribe to the feed there. Download all the episodes at your leisure. Thank you to everybody that's been donating. I'mRaising.com/643 Productions. Anyway, guys, that's my time. I got to get out of here. Thank you for joining. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you next time. I'm out. Bye.
Bonerama!